order at 5:03 this evening. If we could please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll move on to item C on the agenda, which is public comment. As a reminder, we offer both in-person and virtual comment, always allowing in-person comment to go first. Don't believe we have anybody with us this evening, so we'll go ahead and open it up to virtual public comment. We have one attendee. Let's see if Marcus wants to raise his hand. He's all set, so we will move on to item D, which is minutes. So could I get a motion to approve the attached August 17, 2022 minutes?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll go on to item E, which is correspondence received 8/16 through 9/12. So we did have 3 pieces of correspondence included in our packets for review. We're all set on responses for all 3. But I just want to make sure the committee had the availability to take a look at those and see correspondence there. I also take the opportunity to remind anybody who is joining us today or listens to the recording later, please by all means use the correspondence form on the homepage of our website for contact with us. Great opportunity to ask questions, get updates, or just ask anything you want about the project. We're more than willing to field those questions, so please take advantage of that resource. So we'll move right on to item F, which is reports. First order of business is chair report. I don't have anything specific this evening, so we'll move right on to town council liaison report.
We had a meeting last night. So the 2 things the main thing we discussed yesterday is we had a presentation from Croc and SLR on 3rd Bridge crossing across the end of Monteith going over. Doesn't affect anything in this project because that time frame would be at best 3 to 5 years out, and it could be more. We're just in the beginning processes. The other thing is on our next meeting, which is 2 weeks, which would be the 27th, we're going to hear a presentation from the 1928 Building Committee. I know Chris is here, so I won't give you details, but they're looking to change the scope of work after diving into some of the costs associated with keeping various portions of that building. That presentation will be, like I said, on the 27th.
So why don't we go on to any questions first? No? All right, Board of Education liaison report. Started school, very exciting. We have our next meeting on Monday. Questions for that? All right, 1928 building committee.
Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the meeting personally. I was out of town on business, but in terms of the Silver Picture Sally did present the various options to the committee in terms of the 1928 building, 1928 building plus, and it's sort of taking a comprehensive, holistic view at it in terms of impact on the site in conjunction costs and architectural challenges and business challenges. The decision was made to eliminate what is referred to as option 2, but the more expansive project, and essentially present to the town committee, town council an option that will hopefully result in a recharge to a more scaled down version, which is essentially the 1928 building plus an additional small amount of additional space. So that'll be going on at the next meeting on September 27th for consideration there, and I would encourage people to dial into that meeting or attend.
Any questions for us on that? Obviously, more to come. I'm assuming after the town council meeting on the 27th, we are scheduled to meet on the 28th, immediately following, so we'll have some confirmed details at that point. Some more information. Anything else in addition? All right, item 5, owners representative report.
Sure. So a couple things going on. We're going to need to schedule a working group. The working group has not met in the last few weeks. So next Wednesday, we'll schedule a working group to review a few items. We have created a finance committee, or resurrected the finance committee. That group has met twice and will continue to meet monthly to review invoices, pay requisitions, and any potential change orders that come to the table. We are working on our first state submission for reimbursement. So we've been putting together, gathering all the invoices and everything else that we need to do to submit that reimbursement request. The professional team continues to meet weekly. Our big focus has been obviously on getting the bid packages out, which did go out. So we and ONG can report a little bit on the progress there with RFIs and things that have been coming in. We did receive all of our information now from all our third-party contractors, so our vendors, consultants, right? So our structural steel review, our HVAC review, the professional engineering review, all of those comments are in and being incorporated, have been incorporated into the documents. Richard will explain a little bit more on the timeline and where we are with getting out an addendum to the bidders. Really, other than that, we received our OSTA reports. I'm not sure if we reported out on that last meeting or not, but ONG has put together a preliminary construction schedule for us, which we are currently under review now. So we do have an ed spec review meeting coming up this week as well. So we'll be working with the Board of Ed to finalize the ed specs and get that out in front of the Board of Ed to vote and approve the revised ed specs to meet the program. So that's really about everything I have for an order structure.
Just like, I don't know if this is premature or out of line with the schedule, but any intel from Farmington?
So good question. The majority of the bids have come in. There's still some that are scheduled out a few days later. Kind of remember, we're staggered with larger bid packages out front, and so literally they've just come in. I don't know if OG wants to give an update.
Yeah, literally they came in. I would say probably 75–80% of the bids came in yesterday. So we're still.
And you don't
That is
know.
pretty much I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we haven't started our scope reviews. I mean, they are kind of raw numbers at this point. We are tracking slightly over, but at this point, it's really hard to report on anything until we start to go through it and analyze each bid. Also,
So we should have a lot more concrete information by the next time.
Anything else? Mark or Olga? All right, we'll go to architect report.
Great, good evening. I guess I have 5 points I'd like to bring up this evening. First of which is to introduce Archana Pai. Archana is an architect with our firm. She has been involved throughout the entire design, schematic design, design development, now construction documents phase. She's a project manager. She's interacted with all of the design consultants, structural, mechanical, etc. She's thoroughly familiar with all of the plans that were produced by our office. She was one of the leaders of the team that was put together. You'll see more and more of Archana. She participated in the pre-bid opening that was held by ONG in the auditorium. She's done this kind of work before. So this is the committee, as well as ONG at that end of the table. And we have CSG over there. And we tend to sit in the same locations.
We do, you're right. You're right.
That's-
That's interesting.
That's, this is human nature.
That is the outlier. Yes, stop there.
And Devin, you should become very familiar with, he has access to all of the files. I told Devin that he should include you on the future invitations and communications. That when you are officially here, you'll get your own identification.
Well, welcome. Welcome to the team. We appreciate all the work today too, so we're excited to have you today.
Okay, the second item is, we did receive an email from Kat about communication that she received from Jay Tulin about the status of the Institute for Human-Centered Design commentary. You remember that we got commentary from them at earlier phases of the work, and the most recent commentary was during the construction documents phase. We received a total of 70 comments. About half of them could be very simply answered because they're just clarifications or confirmation that we've already taken care of that. Their report was compiled in an Excel spreadsheet. Michael did that, or maybe you did that, I'm not sure. It was joint. So their Excel spreadsheet was forwarded to Kat, and there are 3 columns. The first column is which identifies ADA requirements that needed attention. They thought needed attention in the documents. The second column is what they call good practices. It's not required by code, but based upon their overview of inclusive design was the term that Jay Tulin referred to about their specialty is in inclusive design, which is not only what's required, but what is forward thinking. What's happening in the world of accessibility, what's happening about making sure that no one is discriminated against in projects. And so that's why the Institute for Human-Centered Design was brought on as an additional consultant. And then lastly, the third column is our responses to their commentary. There are a couple of items that are out of scope. They made comments about, for instance, accessibility in the field, in the football field, and also in the concession stand. We reminded them that those areas are out of scope. They're excluded from this project. So I did take a peek at the attachment from correspondence that is included in the packet. And Jay refers to some issues in auditorium. I can only find one comment in the, so I'm not sure how we derive those areas of concern. I think he said auditorium and labs.
Maps and location of the special ed.
Okay, so I saw only one comment here from auditorium. The lab comment has to do with clearances. We have confirmed that those were adequate, and so I think we've responded to the comments. The auditorium comment had to do with a handrail. So I think it was a good process. I think we learned a lot in the process, and it's been, I think, fruitful. Okay, third on my list is preparation of addenda. So now that we had the pre-bid meeting and we received RFIs from potential bidders during this bid period, we're going to be compiling the first addendum or first packet that we will give to you, and how you incorporate that into an addendum is up to you, because that's one batch of information from bidders. Another batch of information is from what Mark referred to as the independent engineering review. This is what DTC did in reviewing the plans and specs. Sometimes we refer to them as the ready check. It's a proofing of the documents. So those responses may result in some addendum. And so that's going to be the second batch of information that's been going to be sent to you. How are we doing on the preparation of addendum? Because that's something that Archana is doing as well.
So Laura, you'll see, I have already started adding comments on the first, it's actually a live document, the pre-bid RFI Excel spreadsheet. So by tomorrow noon, I will be sending you the spreadsheet with the responses. So all the changes to the drawings and specifications would be added, included as addendum 1. So that's going on Friday.
You're gonna give it to me on Thursday.
Yeah, the Thursday is just spreadsheet.
So we're on track for issuing it. And then the last item I wanted to bring up is, I received in the mail, actually, I did not receive it in the mail. It was handed to one of my partners with Iglehart and said, I think this goes to you, because it didn't have my name on it. But it's from a sales rep representing some skylight manufacturer's product. And you're probably going to get this sort of stuff too. And what I think it is, because it's not explicit, what I think it is a request to consider their product for skylights. Now, there's a formal process for making submissions as equals, and there's also a deadline for that. You don't want to be receiving this when it's too late. So I'm going to give this to you, and then you decide whether it's complying with the requirements for making such submissions. I would urge members of the committee, if you get such correspondence, just hand it to the professionals. They'll determine whether it's an appropriate submission. That's the last thing I wanted to comment. Any questions?
Any questions for Richard? Right. So why don't we go right on to the construction manager report?
All right, well, I'll update where we are with bidding. So we did go out to bid on August 31st. Again, as was mentioned, yesterday was the pre-bid meeting. The professionals were all there. Sam attended as well. We had about 36 trade contractors there. Companies represented. There was more people than that, but there was about 36 companies represented, that was pretty decent. You know, the interest for going to a pre-bid meeting is usually to look at existing conditions. So we expected all the site and the demolition contractors, but not necessarily, you know, finishes. But there were a couple of finishes contractors there. There was a flooring manufacturer or a flooring contractor. There was an acoustical contractor. So it was neat that they showed up. So that was good. So it was a pretty good turnout. We're still tracking on schedule as far as when bids are due. So right now the bid due date is September 29th. And I do warn that since Torrington just came in on Tuesday yesterday and the rest of their bids are coming in, I think either later this week or early next week, we need to give the bidders on Farmington enough time. Like they were just all working on Torrington. So I need to make sure that they all have sufficient time. Everybody has limited resources. So you know, I know I'll have to delay at least a week because right now it's just like basically 2 weeks between the two projects. So we'll push it off probably a week. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it with this Friday's addendum or not, but if not, it'll be in next week's addendum. But that's still tracking with where we were on schedule. So we're planning on scoping critical trade contractors starting October 6th, which implies a bid due date of like October 4th or 5th. So, you know, we do have a little bit of wiggle room in there for getting the bids in. So we're still on track with that and looking for owner approval of the critical phase 2 contracts somewhere on or about October 19th. So at your meeting that's on the 19th is when we'd be looking to present the critical trade contractors for phase 2. So just to give you kind of a horizon of where we are with that. So your meeting is on the 5th, I think, right? Your 5th and the 19th, are you 2 meetings?
We are the 12th and the 26th. We can add one
Okay,
on the 19th.
okay. All right. So right now you're the 12th and the 26th?
It's every 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I thought
But we might have, you know, I mean, it went off, but we probably didn't do a standard sheet, like I think somewhere in there.
So you have the 12th and the 26th, the Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, just ready to,
We can add the next.
okay.
It's better to add
And
it.
you might.
And then
That's
not
that's
write
gonna
it
add
down
it,
later.
definitely.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna cross
I would
that.
definitely do that. because who knows, maybe the 12th, I won't need anything by then, and I will need you on the 19th, you know? So it's better, yeah, it's better to
Little
add it
trade
on.
off, yeah.
And that's basically where we are. Again, as was mentioned, we're getting there's lots of interest out there. There's lots of bidders interested in this project. There's lots of bidders that have been waiting for this project. So we have lots of interest. I have some RFIs I'm backed up on, so I got to get those entered into the log. But, you know, we'll be issuing those responses on Friday. And as far as the addenda goes, as far as the invitation to bid, I know you guys got it up on the website and you're gonna place it in Harper Current. I didn't fact check that. But hopefully that was-
It was placed.
Okay, so everything's up on the website, everything's on the town website, everything's on the state's portal. So we're all good. I think I sent out the invitation to bid with the link if anybody so chose to want to look through all that stuff. So. And I'll just make sure I'll give Joe a heads up about Friday so that they know.
And we can update on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that I have, so I'll let Nelson update on the phase 1, so.
So the phase 1, quick update, work is winding down. There is still construction taking place behind the fence, but that's winding down as well. We had the landscape architect out yesterday. We walked, actually no, last week, we walked the site, and this morning they went to the nursery to pick out the trees. So the hole that we reported on with the recent rains, the trees, the elms were delivered to the nursery, and they're going to start showing up tomorrow. So most of the plants will be planted by the end of this week. We're working with the architect on punch listing. There's not a lot to punch list, you know, on the early enabling, but that work is winding down, and it's going to be quiet for a period of time. But so I have on the schedule that by the first week of the next big thing is we're going to be bringing in the job trailer. They're working on the electrical. Eversource will be connecting the power. That'll be the first week of October. That will set office trailer. So we have right now, we're communicating with the school. We got interviewed by the school newspaper at some point in time.
Awesome.
So
They're good, aren't they? Newspaper, they're sharp.
we're trying to coordinate. We're
Yeah.
trying to coordinate time.
Be prepared, be prepared. There'll be some very, very good questions. trust me.
My daughter's not crazy that I'm going to be in.
That's me, oh, I've had it many times over, trust me. She'll be excited when she sees the result. Okay, any other questions for Laurel or Nelson on timeline? So basically, we're in a little bit of a waiting game here, but still exciting. We should all be excited where we are, how far we've gotten on this project, that we're out to bid. This is, great progress. So thank you to everybody, and looking forward to next steps. So that's exciting. All right, so let's move on to communications subcommittee report. I'll do a quick overview of what we talked about. So we did actually do a quick conversation on a update to the website, which I think is important for the entire community to understand, which is the effort to improve our overall communications with the surrounding neighbors moving forward. So we have established Sarah Cat and Devin established a distinct web page or page on our website that is dedicated to the surrounding neighborhood to get additional information on the project when they need it. Added to that was also one of a contact form at the very bottom to be able to start to build a distribution list for the neighborhood, the members of the neighborhood to for us to be able to do focus communications to them on an as-needed basis. We want to be very clear on this. This is something that we're going to work on as far as engaging with the neighborhood, making sure they get a timely communication on things that really will impact them directly. So that's a communication plan we're working on moving forward. I think it's a critical part of kind of what we've done to date, even pre-referendum, the communication, and So we'll probably, Johnny, we might need some help from you on, getting some word out there on the Facebook page to get out and get your name on the list, to do those kind of things, to help us with that communication, just making sure we're staying in touch. We don't anticipate there being a ton of communication right now, as far as impacts, but as we really start to engage in, the construction work, that will ramp up. So, that's something that we're gonna go ahead and put out. I don't know when we're actually gonna, not launch that, right?
The page hasn't launched.
Yeah, so we've got a few minor modifications that will go out there, and then we'll start soliciting, the creation of that distribution list for the neighbors. We talked about that. We also talked about, groundbreaking. So we're starting now to really think about how do we plan this, and then figure out on, we haven't determined a date quite yet. That's something that we're gonna kind of wait a little bit on, to make sure that we understand the best timing for that. So that's something to come in the future, but we have, an agenda and basically an outline of the event that Ira has put forward to us. So we're gonna start taking that, putting some, timeframes around that, within an event, time. So we set and determined, is it, when is it gonna occur? Is it right after school? Is it midday? There's a lot of conversations, so we have a more, detail to come on that. So we're gonna continue our conversations, but that's going to be around groundbreaking. The other piece that I also do want to mention too, within the group, within communications, was, a kudos to the high school team for the school opening. The traffic, all the work actually that everybody has done in conjunction with that, it went so smoothly. All the traffic patterns were fantastic. Any parent who has a child there has received great feedback on it. We've seen some ancillary benefits that were fantastic as far as the improvement on the floor, for traffic. So really a good start to kind of the introduction of phase 1 of the project to the community, was really positive. So we thank everybody who's involved in that effort, because that really makes a big difference on how this project is represented. Kind of that first major step. So thank you to everybody who made that work as smoothly as it did. So. All right, what did I miss for communications? Anything? Very thorough. I haven't talked in a while. I have to put out there. All right, professional partnership, we have not engaged. I'm wondering, are we ever gonna engage in professional partnerships again?
I don't know if there's any other.
I mean, it would depend on, right, so the only other really third party is you're gonna have environmental aspect review, and then you're gonna have materials testing for the next phase, and you'll have purchase orders to talk about later. So yes, but not for a while.
Not for a while. Okay. All right. So we'll take it off until we have to re-engage, right? The next item is financial report.
We don't have an update for tonight, but the invoice that you approve will be on our next one. I distributed that.
And just to that point too, it was mentioned, Mark did mention the finance committee, kind of the re-engaging of the finance committee. We did mention this last time, the building committee as well. So since there will be so much work involved in reviewing invoices and looking at financials, we have brought the finance committee forward again to do some preliminary reviews, ask questions, do analysis on that work up front before it comes to the full committee. We just thought that was the best course of action. So when we move on in the agenda, you will see invoices for approval, and just know that those have been, well, specific ones, not all of these. Right?
No, they have.
They all have, all of them have gone through the finance committee for review and questions and updates. So just another point in the process for validation. It's good practice for us. So.
And to that point, you will see in the packet, I know it's a little bit premature, but CSG has put together kind of some more information. So you'll see like a summary sheet of all the invoices, and then a cover sheet for each invoice to kind of make it a little bit easier to read when we have, excuse me, a lot of invoices coming. So then it's just a little change in how they're delivered.
Any questions? Yeah, makes sense. All right, so why don't we move right on to new business? So we'll open it up with a motion, then we can go a little bit more into detail on the package we have. So can I get a motion to approve the following invoice package included in our agenda? All right, so we'll open this up for discussion. Is there anything about this detail, Mark, that we should share with the committee?
No, I don't think so. I think, we had ONG's phase one enabling invoice, which was their second invoice that we received on the enabling plan. We'll probably get two more. We'll get a final, and then we'll get a retainage requisition. So we'll release the retainage that we've held back once the work is complete. So there'll be probably two more invoices there. IES had submitted for their invoice of the document review. That's our commissioning agent. And then there's the two standard CSG invoices. Next month, we'll see. We had a few come in a few days after the meeting. So TSKP's invoices and a few others. So we'll get that scheduled now that it's not just before the building committee meeting. It's now before the finance committee, which needs to review before the building committee. So we'll be a couple days earlier. But we'll get the process more fluid as we go into the months ahead. So finance committee had an opportunity to review them, ask questions, see the schedule of values, and we do review cost timeline, and cost analysis of where we are to date, and so and then looking at the budgets. So.
Any questions about that, or kind of detailed on what you're seeing there? All right, so why don't we ask for a vote here? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, unanimously approved. I'm gonna go ahead and add one additional motion to the agenda, and this is in regard to that meeting. While we have everybody here, why don't we go ahead and ask for a motion to add a October 19th meeting to the building committee schedule. I don't believe we had applications at that time, correct? So this would just be for the building committee, same 5 o'clock start, but just on October 19th.
Keeping the 12.
For now,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's easier to add and then
Just cancel.
cancel, but we know, let's have that one reserved just to be on the safe side for timing. All right, so can I get a motion to add that to the schedule?
Motion. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you, if I may.
Yeah.
In that same vein, we'll want to talk about next year's calendar.
Yeah.
for the
sooner
environment,
rather than later.
sooner rather than later, just so that we can incorporate these finance committee reviews
Yeah.
early
And
enough
get
to get
that,
that, get that process right. So,
Why don't we, I think that's something that's going to be ready for next meeting.
Yep, we've got a calendar approved, and we had talked about, because we do it every other week, which sometimes we meet the first week of the month, sometimes we meet the second. So I think we wanted to go to what,
first and third.
first and third
Yeah, every month.
of every month, kind of standardize that, but we'll put some dates around it. That way we can meet appropriately for the finance committee to get everything settled, so.
And that puts us off cycle with. You guys are second.
You're second.
Or.
It's Tuesday night, anyways.
You want to look at that schedule? See if you can decipher it,
Yeah.
which I think is
Like
fine.
it was last night.
Yeah.
But it's been going back and forth if I can get through. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's fine.
And we'll still keep, we'll still put that forward with the 5 o'clock start time, 4 o'clock communications. Obviously, we will, if there's ever an opportunity for us to have to go virtual, we will certainly make sure that's communicated ahead of time, but the hybrid option is also, will continue to be available to us as well.
Schedule now to December remains the same.
Correct, yeah, except
Except for that one.
this one addition for right now.
Correct.
And we'll see, like I said, we'll evaluate based, Laura, let us know as we'll move forward if there's something else.
And we'll work the finance committee out for the next, for October, November, December.
Sure. the 2023 already. All right, any other thoughts, questions? Anything else this evening? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, we will adjourn at 5:38.